Stream. Maybe I just was
There we
logged
go.
in.
We're ready. Well, good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of Drive Facebook Live. I'm your host, Bob Spitz, and my co-host Tony is on holiday. So sitting in for him is Nathan, one of our senior consultants. And we also have Cassie with us, who is here because two of her great clients, Wade and Kristi from Wright Collision, have joined us. And today we're going to talk about collision shops and the fabulous 20 group that Cassie manages. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Cassie, so Wade, first off, Wade and Kristi, would you please tell for everybody who's watching where you are, the kind of collision shop you have, the size, that kind of thing?
We're in Albany, Indiana. We have a collision shop trying to think, we have about 12 employees down there, I believe. And then we also run a mechanical shop, which is right down the road from it, that we have about 4 employees.
Well, that's great. Yeah, and I've seen that trend over the last couple of years increasing, where collision shops are also adding, and that's can be daunting when you're a collision shop to add a general repair shop. But there's some real advantages to that, aren't there, Wade?
Yeah, yeah, we can definitely control our own work. That sometimes the insurance companies, if they want to not pay our body shop for a mechanical repair, we can definitely we separate it, we sublet it different so we can actually get paid correctly.
Right. And it's just kind of like a stupid game that insurance plays on that. But if you have that separate LLC or that separate identity, then they'll pay it. That's kind of stupid. Now, something that I didn't catch is how long have you been in business?
I started my shop in 2006.
Okay. So we're going on close to a 20-year anniversary here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And when you started, how many employees did you have?
I just started with one employee actually, and myself and another tech, and we worked a lot of hours.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah, and our shop that we're in when we started, well, it's 13,000 and some odd change on square footage, and I thought, man, for two guys, that was a lot of building there.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And now you've got how many employees? 12?
Yes.
12 at that shop and 4 at the other
Then
shop.
4 at the general repair shop, the
Yeah.
mechanical shop. That's great. And how many paint booths do you have, Wade?
We just have one.
Hmm. Are you thinking about expanding that?
I would definitely like to have another one. We're kind of busted on room right now, though. I mean, with the way our workflow is, we definitely like to have one though, because I think we could get more, a little bit better production.
Yeah,
We actually have a
absolutely.
little bit better drying times. We really strive on doing high quality work, and rushing paint jobs is not high quality work.
No, that's Earl Scheib.
Right.
I don't even know if they're still in business.
Mhm.
I'll paint any car for $99. Right. Remember the old Earl Scheib commercials?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you've taken yourself from basically being a one-man band stage one shop to sounds like you're closing in on being a stage 4 shop. You're not actually at the shop, are you?
I am at the shop every day. I mean, I don't have to be. I mean, at this point, I mean, and now that I'm not in the paint booth, I definitely, I definitely have my freedom now.
Yeah, fantastic. And Cassie was mentioning to me that you went through quite an ordeal finding a new painter. Tell us about that process, because I know painters they don't grow on a tree. You can't go down to the painter store and go, I'll take that one and I'll take this one.
Yeah, for the last 2 years, I couldn't find one. I wasn't stealing one from anybody local. I mean, so We just did it myself, and I had a prepper, and we did a lot of work. But our painter actually moved from Florida, and he seeked us out over us having very good reviews.
Google reviews.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nathan, we were talking about that, how having great social media and having good reviews not only attracts, of course, great customers, but it can also be a tool for attracting employees. Isn't that right?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the things that we again, I work with a lot of different types of shops, and 100%. Um, and we tell them that, like, people are they're going to Google you, they're going to drive by the shop, they're going to pull up your website even before they look to apply, or or in the in the instance of this, like, hey, I want to move, and so let me decide what shop in the area I want to work at. um whether it's, look at 3 or 4 or 5 different options and then decide, yeah, let's go ahead and make that happen, and then contact the one that they want to go see based on some of that data.
Yeah. Cassie, has that been your experience also?
It has been, but I just thought that this story was really, telling. This person came all the way from Florida to Indiana. So to see their reviews, obviously maybe he was looking for certain states, and Kristi and Wade's popped up. So, Indiana's not a small state. So for them to stand out as a collision shop where he'd want to work, sight unseen, I thought that was pretty telling.
Absolutely. And I think it's fantastic because it's like watching fish swim upstream. It seems like the flow is always from the Northeast and the Midwest down to Florida, and this fellow comes from Florida up to you. So that's very well done. Yeah. Now, Cassie, you also manage our Collision 20 group program, and I believe Wade and Kristi, you are members of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have
And
been
you
for
all,
9 years.
fantastic. And you all had a meeting recently, yeah, Cassie?
We did, in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Jessica Sen from Dave's Auto Body hosted it. And Wade and Kristi came as attendees, and I really wanted them to share what their experience was like. Obviously, we could have Jessica come on and talk about what it was to host, but actually know what it is to be a participant and what you walk away with. I thought was important.
Yeah, I think it's fabulous. One of the points that we looked at when we started the 20 group program is that opportunity to visit others in their shops, because it can be a lonely business owning a shop. You think you're out there all alone, and it's fabulous to get together with like-minded people with similar qualities and just discuss how you do it. So, Kristi, Wade, you want to tell us about your experience at the 20 group meeting?
Well, I mean, when we went to Jessica's shop, not only does it help us to look at her shop and give her helpful tips on things, but we have takeaways too. So we took a lot away. We implemented it immediately, from what we was able to see at her shop and from the places that we went to go visit, that she had set up. So there's a lot of takeaways for us and for us to help her. And just to know that you're not in it alone is the big thing. You have a team that's standing behind you. You have a family that's standing behind you, because you become a family. You're not just there as Bob or Cassie. You're there as a family member. So that's the big thing that you take away. You become a close knit. So you're there through text messages too, not just once a week meeting. You're there every single day for each other.
Oh, absolutely. And and it's kind of funny, you get so used to doing something a certain way, and you believe this is the way, and it's the only way because it's the only way I know how to do it. So this is the way we do it. And then someone grabs your head and goes, "Ring," go, look over here.
That's right.
Wow, I never thought of that.
Right.
So were there any particular takeaways you'd like to share? Anything that you saw that you said, ah, that's a clever piece there?
And there was quite a bit of takeaways. I mean, we blueprint cars now, so we was able to blueprint, we took away and we're blueprinting a little different now, with different colors. So we have like the green and the red and the yellow now versus just one color that we're putting on the vehicle. We're doing multiple colors. But there was quite a few takeaways that we had.
Now the colors are to signify
Uh,
different
the green-
processes, or
Yep, the green was, continue on, that had already been approved. The yellow was waiting on approval from insurance, and the red was unrelated prior damage, so don't touch.
yeah. Well, you know,
And-
your industry, more than any other segment of the repair industry, has gone through so many changes, and you have all kinds of additional, I don't know if I should call them peculiarity or challenges, just because of insurance. But insurance is just one aspect. The changing technology, you as a collision shop, you get to see that changing technology years before a general repair shop gets to see it. And staying on top of that, well, that's a bit of a challenge. How are you able to stay on top of those technical changes, Wade?
I mean, we do a lot of the research of the procedures, the OE procedures. And so we attach that a lot in the CCC. We also, do the ADAS stuff here. So we're doing all the calibrations and stuff like that that's up with the new technology, but the big thing is staying on top of all the OE procedures, repairing the car correctly.
And you,
Abs-
oh, sorry, Bob, you keep your employees ICAR certified, right? You stay on
We
top
do.
of everything?
Yes, we are ICAR Gold certified shop, so yes, they all have training.
And that also too, if we do the research on procedures, I mean, we may find a lot of extra hidden on add-ons that we can actually attach to the estimate to get paid for. And when we wasn't doing that research, then we wasn't getting paid for it because we didn't know we had needed to do it.
So that keeps your average ticket up. Yep.
Absolutely, because you know, I've yet to find an insurance company that would call you up and go, you know, you forgot to charge us for this.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was flying with an insurance executive one time in the old days when I traveled a lot, and we were just talking about labor rates, and we were talking about estimates in those days, supplements, and hopefully most shops are starting to move away from supplements. I don't think you'll ever get rid of supplements completely. But he goes, yeah, you know, it's surprising. We'll pay for all kinds of things, but the shops don't ask us for it. And I said, ah, that's interesting.
the key.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
gotta ask.
you got to ask.
And the insurance companies know that most body shops are under admin.
Oh, absolutely.
So a lot of times I think people don't realize that, you know, they can afford admin by just adding more onto every ticket.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of admin, doing that research time, what are you finding? How much time is it taking you? Let's say you get in a 2024 Nissan and you need to do the OE research on this vehicle and front end hit. How long is it taking you to do that research?
Depending on where the damage is on the vehicle, I mean, if it's in a front end collision, it might have more of the research, you know, because you got more sensors or something like that, but, I mean, our blueprinter, he can spend 1 to 2 hours depending on the damage of the vehicle.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we've got to understand that is, you know, in our industry, one, we didn't design the car, we didn't build the car, we didn't break the car. We've just been asked to bring it back to pre-crash condition. So I'm not quite sure why I would have to pay for any part of that process.
Right,
But I understand that the insurance companies are still fighting back a bit on paying you for your admin time.
yes, absolutely. They won't pay admin time for every vehicle, which they should, but they don't.
You know, of course they should. You know, but we're also running into a kind of to me, it's a new situation in collision. and that is that the insurance companies really are not paying 100% of the damage, and that consumers have got to understand that right up front, that there's a possibility if you want me to repair this back to OE specs, there could be an out-of-pocket expense for you.
We have not started doing that yet, but it's getting closer and closer to going that way. But we're still fighting with the insurance company to pay for everything. So sometimes it's a long wait trying to get that insurance approval, but we win the battle for our customers.
Good for you.
Good.
Yeah. I just brought that up, Cassie, because I was talking to Kareem's estimator on that.
Mhm.
Okay.
And he's warning customers right up front in California. Good chance, we only use OE. We do not use aftermarket. We don't use used, because we want this vehicle to be exactly as it was.
Right.
But sometimes the insurance companies will fight us on that, and there could be an out-of-pocket expense for you.
Right, it is getting to that.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to, in going back to the top 20 meeting, is that I thought it was very interesting that you hear Wade and Kristi's story. Now, he came from pretty much a one-man band to where he is now, having 12 employees just for collision. And some of the other shops who were there had very similar journeys. But yet, they're sitting there and they're comparing notes, and they're still finding things that they can learn from each other. And they're still kind of facing the industry as it comes and deciding, okay, how are we going to deal with this? And putting their heads together and talking about the challenges they're facing in doing it. So even though they've reached this level of success, which they have, there's still much to learn, and they can learn from each other. But I think like the most important thing I just said about that is that they came from a one-man band. So that just speaks to all of those watching and all of those with Drive or who will be with Drive, that there is a community here that pretty much is seen or will see everything that you're going through, no matter what stage you're at.
Absolutely.
And so it's like really beyond the basic kind of training and the other resources that we give and we go through, but it's about what all of you bring together as a community that you're joining and you're receiving. So that's why I really thought this offsite is really important, because we do meet weekly as top 20 and they do compare notes and we go through different KPIs. And it just, it was very different being there in person and kind of like, there's a lot to talk about in an hour. And so you're sitting there over 3 days and you're like, okay, oh, by the way, oh, this is happening or that is happening. Some things come to light that maybe you just don't even think to bring up, that aren't shining through the KPIs, or maybe explain the KPIs that you didn't even think about. So it's just being a part of this group and having those experiences will do more for your shop, or just as much as anything else we offer. And I mean, I asked for your input in that, Wade and Kristi, but do you feel like that just brings another dimension, deepens the experience on top 20, or deepens your experience as far as working with other collision shops?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, you might go to try to help another shop, but it's really helping you too. I mean, it deepens it there. I mean, just going to Jessica's shop, or any other shop that we've been to, I mean, just helping each other like that is just amazing. And walking through, just having that time to spend to walk through each and every issue that might come up. It's amazing, just to have that time and to be able to help your family out like that.
Right, every time we go somewhere, whatever, another top 20 member, several years ago said, he goes, well, if I can get one nugget out of this, you know what I mean? And you always do, every time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Because you always have that one little problem that you seem to be plaguing you at the shop, and you're like, hey, that might fix it.
Mhm. And you
Yep.
you have to try it, because you don't know if it's gonna fix it unless you try it.
Yes, and yeah, and that takes some bravery sometimes.
Mhm.
The devil is better than the devil you don't know. But
Right.
you wouldn't, if you weren't willing to take risks, you would have never opened up a business.
Right.
Right.
You know, And that's hats off to you. But Cassie, you bring up such a valid point there, and knowing that having a network of people that you can work with and making that transition from being a technician, whether being a painter or a body technician, to a business owner can be daunting for a lot of people. But you've successfully made that transition. And Cassie, you've got a lot of folks who have made that transition. And that's where coaching comes in. It's like, do it, but, do it. No, I want you to do it. But, no, do it.
No, and it definitely, it has been that, but what's great about once you join this group, is that, they're not policing isn't the right word, but they're basically critiquing each other and holding each other accountable. So I'm there to assist and jump in and moderate, but they're pulling their kind of wisdom together. And they've been really great about reaching out to other collision shop owners who have questions, who have not yet decided to join the top 20 or get to that point, or maybe work some more in training, but to help them out with where they're at. So it's definitely a group that gives back too, and it's you wanting to be the shop that's a part of that, learning and also able to share your accomplishments with other people.
Right.
And even when we were at the meeting, I did a presentation on employee retention. Because one important thing to know is that even though they're at this point in their stage of their careers, they still face some of the things that other shop owners face. I mean, don't think that they're not still dealing with some of the basic issues and challenges that other collision shops are facing. So we still look at those materials and we still look at, what can we do? And especially when you get to the point where you can be stage 4, it's really having a solid crew in place is important. So that if you even think about wanting to step away, having that depth and cross training, or just even people who are going to be consistently there, and in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
So, it's topics like that we talked about and we still talk about and will talk about. So just in general, and then they're all obviously, so receptive. But one thing I wanted to ask Wade and Kristi is, even with where you are now, what do you think that one of the biggest challenges you still face?
I would say it is, employee retention, or because, I mean, we've had our employees for a long time, so it's not really retention, but if you do lose one, then just finding another one. So it's more important to keep them, and to make sure that we're all doing the right thing, than it is to try to go find a new one.
Yeah, that, and what I've always said too, it's like, you always want your whole crew to be on the same, going the same direction that we're going, you know what I mean? And I showed them that, the last 2 years, because, in a collision, in our deal, I mean, we've got everything broke down in different little departments. And one department depends on the next department, it depends on the next department to keep that car moving. And if one department's down, then that affects every other department and their paychecks.
Right.
So, I was there to make sure that those guys were getting paychecks, and I was doing my part to keep the ball rolling, whether I needed to bill the hours or not. I didn't need to bill the hours, but I made sure that they had the hours. So, it's just getting them to think the same way and to be on the same team and the same direction.
Yeah. Absolutely. Getting them to understand that what they do really does matter, especially in collision when you're running from department to department. There's nothing like the painter having to kick back a job because it's just not right.
Right.
Just throw a whole wrench into the flow of of cycle time. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, and once again, because your industry is changing so fast, and the whole concept of a curbside estimate is kind of gone out the window. I mean, you can tell them, yeah, it needs to be repaired. But in order to know what to repair, we have to take it apart. So,
Right.
Sure.
Right.
How many people are still asking for a curbside?
Most of them do.
Most
Yeah.
of them do.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, the biggest thing is you just got to decipher what they really need, I mean, we're asking, I mean, if they need an estimate or they just really need their problem solved, then we just need to schedule
Mm.
Right.
That's the key thing. And you know, we've been working on our office here in the last month, because we have slowed down. I think it's a countrywide deal, you know, that the collision and a lot of things have slowed down a little bit. So we're actually having to be a little bit more craftier on
Mhm.
making sure that we're actually getting a commitment out of them to sell them. We're just coming off of a hailstorm that we had this spring, and we didn't even have to try to sell work because we had just so much that we had to turn work down.
Mhm.
So now the seasons are changing where you need to get back to doing, you know, the basics
And that was one of the takeaways that we took away from Jessica's shop was when we came back, we implemented, we're gonna schedule every single estimate. It has helped us with capture rate. So, that, I mean, that's a huge thing is trying to schedule out those estimates.
Just
Absolutely.
like a general repair shop would schedule, you know,
Appointment for
check
your oil
engine light
change.
diagnostics, or yeah, like actually planning it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Hey, Nathan, I think it's time for a station break here. What do we have
Yeah.
coming up?
So next week on Facebook Live, we are going to have Armando and Veronica Perez of AXK Collision in Apopka, Florida, just north of Orlando. So they're going to be joining us, and I remember meeting them at our expo this last year in Dallas. So that should be a fun show to get to pick their brain and what it's like running a collision shop in Florida with all of this wonderful weather that they get over and over and over.
Yes. No, they're great folks. I've met them a number of times on different workshops, and they're so interested in making their shop hum. They're going after that stage 4. That's what they want, and they'll get there. It's step by step, but they will get there. Cassie, any parting words?
Look at our blog. It walks you through our weekend in Green Bay. So you get some idea of what that looked like. We mix some fun with, you know, we played hard and we worked hard, or we worked hard and we played hard. Let's go that way with it. So just to get an idea, and you know, just everything that I've already said as far as the benefits of the group and just the collision community at Drive, the ones that are here and the ones that are coming, and what you have to look forward to.
Fantastic. Well, Chris and Wade, we wish you nothing but continued success, and I want to thank you for joining us today. And so for all of us here at Drive Facebook Live, I hope you all have a great rest of the afternoon and a fabulous weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks so
you. Thanks for
much.
having us.